So pricing for me, I think, is very complex. So the reason why it's very complex, it's because it integrates the customer profile, which is in marketing. It integrates certain economics like demand and supply. It integrates also your business economics in terms of how much are you spending, what are your operational costs, and is your price that you have set able to cover those operational costs. So, and that is why I'm saying it's rather very complex. So let's just go to the basic principle when we look at the retail industry. For Matabo, you have to understand that in the wholesale and retail, you are selling a volume. What do I mean? The more you sell, the more money you're gonna make. You can't change a price too much or increase the price. Your strategy cannot be increasing the price to increase your revenue, but it's to increase the number of people that are coming to buy. You need to increase the volume. So, and the pricing is outside of your control, as you had said earlier, that the price of meat changes all the time. It fluctuates because of the environment. So you cannot predict, you cannot also set it to be a standard. It has to be based on what you actually get from your suppliers. And that changes all the time. So you also have to understand that within that pricing, it's gonna be influenced also by the lifespan of the product, which in this case will be highly perishable. Meat is highly perishable. So you're gonna need to actually then understand that within your pricing, it's influenced by all these things. But if then because you're in retail, you can't negotiate the price. If you try to increase the price, you're gonna lose the customer. The only thing you can do is to make sure that you have a high customer retention. So customer retention is about, so we said first strategy you're gonna have is to make sure that you increase the volume. I'm just making a note. You increase the volume. And number two, you have a high customer retention. So what do I mean when I say increase the volume? Within the area that you're operating, can you find the restaurants? Can you find big families? Can you find people that run funeral parlors? Can you go and figure out how you can work or provide them direct? Please, Matabo, come through so that we can discuss this. Matabo?
Hello.
Hi, sis. Did you hear what I said? So I'm saying you can't change the price, but remember, to increase your revenue, you need to increase either the price or the volume. And in your case, you cannot touch the price because the environment is too competitive, and also it's in a retail space. You don't negotiate, you get the stuff from someone and they say it's the price, then you have to work around that.
No, I understand what you're saying, Precious, but let me just give you an example. What it is not clear to me or to us, because it's two of us in the business. It's female entrepreneurs who are new in that space. Let's say what is of concern to me or what I need to learn, it's what do you take into consideration when you do your pricing? Because remember, you buy meat maybe with a particular price per kilo. You have labor involved, there's electricity, there's rent, there's many other operational costs. Now, when it comes to allocating percentages, let's say you buy a kilo for 45 rand per kilo. I'm just making an example. Now, you need to then add your profit on that. Now you have your all these operational costs that I've talked about. What percentages do you allocate to each? Because, like for instance, if you say I want to add 45%, I'm just making an example. What percentage do you allocate to meat? What percentage do you allocate to electricity? What percentage do you allocate to labor and whatever to make that top up that you are going to top on your price? That's what it is not clear to me.
Okay, I'm
Do you
with you.
get me?
Yes, I get you. So I think I need you to just step back. The price, as we said, the pricing, even when the supplier is giving the price of your cost that you have of buying the meat is set. What you need to work out is that the total operational cost that you have in your business, do you know how much is that? Can you give me what's the total cost of running this wholesale and retail or butchery? How much is the total expenses?
I can't give you the exact amount because they are not the same every month.
Let's just
Uh,
estimate what's your average? What's your average total cost?
the average total cost is about 260,000.
260,000. So
And when I say 260,000, you know, our business has three legs. We have we supply meat in one of the mining houses. We supply meat at the hospital. Then we sell your chisanyam at the shop and plates and whatever. So I'm talking only about that because these ones, the supplies, we know exactly that how much money do we spend there buying meat and also the money that we get. So my main concern was about the walk-ins, the what we sell to our daily customers that comes there. Because if you have tendered somewhere and you got a tender, it's obvious that you have priced. And if you have priced, you must supply with that price and then only review prices maybe after a year. So my main concern is because the core business is the walk-ins where people comes in, buy meat, buy it, and then buy plates. For cold drinks and whatever thing, it's easy, that one pricing. But your food, part of it. So that's the average that I'm talking about. I
okay,
did not add the others.
okay, no, that's fine. So I've got the operational cost of 260, and then assuming that this operational cost that you have is an average per month, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this includes all your labor, it includes all your running costs and wages, and including also electricity.
Yes.
So in general, when you are putting through the price, you have to work it out from what is your target profit that you want to have. So let's just say for this business, you are targeting to earn a 20% net profit.
Mm.
A 20% net profit basically means from 100 rand that you have generated, you want to make sure that you retain 20 rand.
Okay.
So in between your 100 and 120 and 20 rand, you're gonna need to have direct expenses. And you're gonna have indirect expenses. Indirect expenses is the one that I mentioned earlier where we said is operational cost. The direct costs are the ones that you're gonna actually put in, maybe getting the meat from the supplier and cutting it into portion. That is what we mean by direct cost. That can be labor, that can be the actual machines that you are using, the contribution of that. That could be a range of other expenses, but that is what we consider as direct because that gets the product ready for the customer. The direct cost, once it has been worked out, you will call that the cost of sales. When we say cost of sales is contributed directly, we need to be very clear of who did we actually employ. So if we are working with a labor, we said it's a labor that was involved. Generally, the labor is calculated based on time, which is what? The rate per hour of how much you pay to the individual, right? And the overheads, like your equipment that you're actually using, that is also allocated according to time based on understanding the total cost of that equipment and the contribution it makes on the or on doing the work. The last part is materials, or which in this case is going to be the stock, the actual cost that you have paid in buying the meat. And that would be calculated per kilometers in this case, because we are working at the customer side. You are not working at the bulk level like with other clients. This is what we will then call a direct cost. I think there is a module that we're covering here. I'm gonna try to get that module and just show the calculation for you. Give me a second. Because sometimes explaining things like it's better to just show you so that it helps. But the principle is, first, we have to be clear how much we want to actually retain in our business. How much profit do we want to make? How much profit do we want to make? And in this case, we're saying in the retail space, usually it has to be something that is between 20 to 15%, but usually try to set it to be 20%. But then you work backwards to say, if our net profit, what we want to retain is 20%, how then do we manage our direct and indirect cost? And then now I'm going to share that with you. There's open. That is module number 9, Mata. I'm going straight into the costing. So what I was explaining earlier, that it will be all your input, labor, material, and overhead, right? Do you guys see that? Please make a note on the chart. So you're gonna need to identify.
What module is that one?
That is module 9, the costing and pricing of your product.
I'm just trying to open it myself.
No problem. So I'm actually running through down now to where the calculation will actually help you. But you will need to go through the whole process of the module in understanding the processes that needs to be in place. So the actual cost of the product, as I was explaining earlier, will be a direct based on hours or minutes. Sometimes it's minutes. If to do that activity, it took minutes. But if that activity took an hour, you then calculate the rate based on hour. Direct materials, manufacturing overhead, fixed cost contribution. And it's the same principle. So costing, how much did it cost me to actually make this product? That is what we will then say is the cost of sales. And that cost will then help you. And in here, I also have articulated how do you calculate the labor and how do you actually build up the timesheet for your team. So you're gonna need to put some systems that will allow you to come up with a way of calculating this in principles. But let's also look at just specific on the labor. What will be the best way of doing the labor? On page, on this module, I don't have a page. We have the salaries of the employees. We also need to make sure that we account for additional costs, which is our UIF, if they are above the threshold, skills development, levy, COIDA, all those costs, because those are all total costs to company. You will then take these and make them to be for the period that you are calculating and divide it by the number of hours or minutes that person actually works. So you will need to take this to a rate per day or per hour, depending on how long the task is. So that will then help you to come up with exactly the specific, how much is the labor contribution to my cost. Once you have that total cost of your direct, you will then add in this 260,000, which you know is part of your operation cost. That one is almost like the only way to manage it is to manage it by budget. You're gonna need to identify on your operational cost the top 5 expenses. The top 5 expenses is what you're gonna monitor every month, and is what also you're gonna negotiate with your suppliers to pay on 30 days. And you will plug it in on your calculation, and I'm gonna do the calculation on the Excel spreadsheet here, guys. I'm gonna just open up a new spreadsheet, and then I will share how would you then, once you have done your calculation on labor, you already know how much it costed to buy the product. There's questions, oops, okay. I have comments. Oh, okay, Ntsako said she can see, okay. I am also gonna try to provide a more clearer examples and just to show the process that is involved in costing and pricing, because for you to do the pricing, you gotta need to know first your costing. When you don't know your costing, then your profit is not guaranteed. I'm just gonna use another, oops, I can't find my note. Okay, I will use this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move this into another. I'm just opening up any Excel spreadsheet and it's not allowing me to do. So I said, for example, from 100 Rand in your business, you wanna raise, you know that your net profit. Please confirm that you can see this. Your net profit is 20%. So this, we're gonna work on percentage, and we're gonna work here on the rand value. So, and when we're saying we're gonna have a 20% profit, we have to set that even as part of our strategic objective. And we must measure this consistently. Those who have done the strategy session and have access of the content, they can actually get some of the financial perspective strategy output. So let's just say you sell whatever that you are selling, and you are saying for every 100 Rand that I actually have generated, I wanna make sure that I keep, because guys, profit is what you keep. I keep profit of 20%. You set that first as a target. Then step number 2 is to say, if then there's a target that I've worked on, what is my revenue? This is what you're generating. And my revenue is whatever, let's just say in this case is 100 Rand, because we are working on the 100 Rand. This price, in your case, as I had articulated, is actually needs to be influenced by what you are putting in your business as operation. So this is what we are putting as sales. Now we need to know how much did it cost us to actually produce this. Cost of sales, we always know that because we know how much we have purchased, right? and we worked out that what we have purchased, labor, material, and overhead. So that we already know. We know how much it costed us to actually buy this product. Maybe based on what we have done, we know that maybe it's what, 60, 40%, is 40%. Because this you can calculate, you know exactly how much is this. And when you don't know how much is your costing, this is the wrong one. How much is your costing? This you know. This you have to know. How much does it cost you? What you don't know is your sales price. You are trying to work it out, but you started by making sure that you have set a specific deliverables that I will keep, whatever I make, I will keep 20%. That's my retainer. But for your industry in retail, even 15% is still good. So that should be your target. This is almost like, and your operational cost, you will also know the operational cost. And as you gave it to me as whatever amount it is, so you will know what the operational cost. But again, you gotta need to understand that building that operational cost, let's just say in this case, maybe it will be, we had 40% here. So already for operational cost, you can't be spending more than 100 minus 40 minus, you can't spend more than 40% again here. Am I calculating this right? Can someone help with me with a calculator, guys? I'm struggling here. So from 100%, we have 100%, we have 100 minus 40 minus 20, we're left there with another 40%. So this you're always gonna know, guys. This you're always gonna know because you can actually work out how much is actually your business operational expenses. And we have said the operational expenses is your rent, it's all the electricity, again, maybe wages, but wages that are not directly linked to the production. So from 100 rand, or from 100 that you will have made, the 40% of that, which is gonna be the 40 rand in this case. I am making such bad examples here because then it's gonna look like I'm falsifying these figures. So this, we cannot say, so this is still unknown. You know how much it cost you to actually build this. You know how much it cost you to run the business. So you have that. So it's just that now I'm gonna have for 40 rand in terms of the revenue. 40 rand will be used for cost of sales, and another 40 rand will be used for actually running the business. When you then work out these, you are working backwards to see if my operational expenses are 40% and my cost of sales 40%, how do I make sure that in the amount that I'm charging, I am actually generating sufficient revenues to cover my operational expenses and still make up the 20%. And for the market that is open market, like the consumer, as I said, you're gonna need to actually then ask yourself, in this price that I'm charging of whatever percentage based on your cost of sales and also your operational, and understand also that the operational costs are not the same for each business. So setting up first a clear line of what exactly am I gonna keep in the 100 Rand I make? And you making sure that your accounting is right when it comes to your operational expenses. And you find ways also of reducing your operational cost. You can then be able to say, based on that, this is how much my percentage will cover for my revenue. And for cost of sales, this is how much. But you also start setting up which price you are willing to accept, which price are you not willing to accept, but you work this in ratios and percentage of the business. I'm gonna try to find an example that is simpler than my 40 Rand and 40 Rand here. But the principle is, first, set up how much you wanna make in this business and retain. 2, understand what are the direct and indirect expenditures. Oh God, the network is not good. What are the direct and indirect expenditures that you currently have in your business? And from that, ask yourself, in these operational expenses that you actually have, can whatever that is on the table, can it cover these operational expenditures? And in this case, you will not have known. So it's almost like you're gonna need to work out your break-even point first, get at the total volume of how much you need to sell per year, and work it backwards, because operational expenses, as we have said, in each month it changes, but you need to have an average for the whole year so that you know what is your break-even. And your break-even will tell you the volume that you need to sell per year, and you can bring it down to what do you need to sell per month, what do you need to sell per week in terms of the volume. But it does not assist you in terms of pricing, because your pricing would be changing based on what your cost of sales and direct costs, especially when you're buying the stock. I'm gonna try to find another example that is more simpler, but that's a module you need to look at, which is module number 9, and build it in. Understand though, as I said, as much as you are saying that these are the walk-ins, these are the people, the only way you can have a proper pricing in that environment is to make sure that you are clear what is your money that you are keeping, and you then manage your operational cost. Make sure that you have budget and you monitoring that. And on operational costs, you always focus on the top 5 expenses so that you can manage those. I'm gonna try by all means, Matabo, to send you a specific calculation on how will actually for your industry work. But the other work that you need to do, once you have said this, you might find that your operational costs are too high, they increase your price. When you find that your operational costs are too high, they are increasing your price, you will then need to ask yourself if these items are really expenditures that cannot be avoided. So you're gonna need to then reduce your cost to still retain the 20%, or it might just be 15%, but you work it from the bottom up to get to the price. Ooh, I feel like I've confused the haircut of everyone. Okay, Zako is saying she can see. I feel like I've thrown people on the bus here. The people don't understand what I'm saying. Maybe let me ask, Matabo, is anything that's making sense on what I've just said?
Yeah, Precious, it does make sense. You know, it's just that one is self-taught on the financial management of the business is basics. It's not something that one has studied at school or something. So some of these things that you do here, that you are talking about, is things that I have now started to put systems in place, because as I indicated that I was part-time on the business, another partner was running the business, and then I realized that the financial systems were not properly set up. You know, the business was just running. as long as there's money to buy this and buy that. But profit, there was no profit because directors of companies, they are supposed to benefit twice, either as full-time getting a salary or sharing a profit maybe annually or whatever. So those things were not happening because the systems, the financial systems were not in place. So what we are talking about now, it's something that I've started to do, but I think my major problem was just the costing part of it because when I compared some prices of some butcheries, maybe here in Velcom, I realized that their prices would be cheaper than our prices. But in the main, Tina, our clients are clients that comes and buy meat and braai it, not necessarily. It's very few clients who buys raw meat to take it away. So it's not necessarily a butchery, it's a chisanyama of some sort with plates and whatever. So, but I realize that, but if our prices are more than those, then how does it happen that we are not making money? But I think what you have said earlier on, that sometimes profit is not about the percentages of your profits only. It's also about increasing your clientele because the more clients you have, the more money that you can make. You don't necessarily have to change prices now and then. But as I indicated, that the prices of meat fluctuate almost every week. You
Mm.
know, so what I was that is where my major concern was to say, but if you say this week you are selling meat for 75 rand per kilo, and then the following day or next week you are saying something, your clients won't even trust you because most of our clients is our own people who sometimes don't understand these things of pricing, how do they work? So that's where my concern was to say, but what is it that we need to do so that we don't change? As prices fluctuate, already in our price, we must be covered
Mm.
so that we don't change every week, change every week. If you buy beef for 45 rand a kilo this week and then next week is 55 rand, you don't have to change. You are already covered in that scale.
Yes. So I've just, as you were talking, I just Googled to try to get an exact example on how you actually should be pricing meat in general. And please note, this is, I think it's an American or some country, I have no idea which country it is, some country, but the principle of it is exactly the same. It doesn't matter where else in the world. You have to know your cost. Remember, operational expenses, your direct cost. Remember my example here that I say you have to know this. Your direct cost, which is your you have to know your operational cost. That is the most important thing. Step number 2, know exactly that because this, by the way, the 20% is informed by what the directors have said and the shareholders. And usually in big businesses, it will be the shareholder that say, you know what, for investing in this business, I want this business to actually have a retention of 20%. But
Can
that,
you, can you
hello?
scroll down? I just wanted to see that site so that I Google that.
I will put it on the link on here on the chart. Don't hang
Oh,
on.
okay.
Let me put it on the chart. There you go. So it's just I'm gonna put it for everyone so that edit, copy. Oh, I always forget that there we go. So you can open it on the other side. I'm gonna continue. So you have to know your cost, both your direct cost and indirect cost, for you to be able to set a realistic price. Because as I said, your price is not just influenced by putting a percentage. Operational expenses of my business for another consulting firm is totally different to mine. Based on where they are, how they use the resources, are they automating any processes, and a whole list of other things. But you also have to understand that in building that, you must then also set up budget. So it's not just about knowing your cost, but set up the budget that you can manage and control, and consistently trying to push it down, the expenses being pushed down for you, because for you to have a higher return on investment or a net profit that is high, you have to make sure that you reduce your operational expenses. But you also have to look at how then this get built in your business, so that when you are now you have set your profit, you have set your cost, you are clear about then what should be the realistic market. And yes, doing a competitive analysis where you're looking at what others are paying gives you some sort of an overhaul, but you also need to know what value you're bringing when in your business that others are not bringing, which will then justify you having a higher price. So just have a look and see. I am going to try to find, some sort of a better example. But as you were talking, this is the one that I could actually come up with that was better and more detailed in explaining. I spoke to you about a break-even point. I promise you, Sisi, there is no way you can run a type of business like yours without being clear what is your break-even point. And break-even point is worked out from your total operational expenses, including, and then divide that by the volume that needs to actually be sold, and working out the average. So try to see if we can use this guide. I am gonna try to find another one, or try to take this one and simplify it into some extent to allow you to follow some sort of a process. Does that make sense? Okay, we lost you a bit then. I don't know whether you're on mute.
Who, myself?
Yes. Oh, yes. So, okay, Ntsako, you're gonna have to talk to me. You have written quite a big, a huge a note there. We will talk to. Sisi, is it okay? One, where are you gonna start with your operational expenses? Get your financial statements, okay? For your operational expenses. How often do you do recording? How often do you review your reports? Matabo?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
No, financial records we do, we do them daily.
Okay, so get your recent management accounts, get your financial statements, and start setting up a budget for your operational expenses. And make sure you are clear that on your top 5 expenses, so the things that are just the highest, top 5 of those, you are managing that as you are purchasing things. Once you also have done that, you're then gonna need to ask yourself, what are your direct costs, and list those up, because you need to know how much it actually are your direct costs. You may not have a material amount in terms of the stock because it changes, but start using an average. If you cannot find an average, you can use there is industries that have industry market forecast. Try to see if you can extract some sort of market forecast within your industry. I don't know offhand if you do have one, but that will help you to have some sort of an average. Or the other option is to use the average of the past 6 months to say this will be my average cost, so that you can have some sort of an average. But it also will tell you when you are negotiating with a supplier, negotiate up or down based on the volume, obviously. I will try also to work it out, but I will love to see your financial statements, because from your financial statements, you will then take some of people, the financial statements, the direct and indirect cost is not separated, which then makes it difficult on how do you do the cost, the actual cost for items. And all of this, like the depreciation is cloud together with computers, is not separated between the equipment and also equipment for the machinery and equipment that you are using, just like tables, butchery tables and stuff like that. So all of those things will then make your figures really wrong if your books are not clearly articulating those. I hope I didn't throw you in the buses.
No, you didn't. You didn't. You didn't, because I mean, the only challenge was that what you said earlier on, to say if your pricing you have added 20% as profit or 40%, it means whatever that you get from um, the sales, the 40% need to be saved, meaning that for you to get another stock or whatever cost, you must use the 60%.
Yes. So you're working it backwards, but you also keep in mind that once you have set it, you test it in the market so that you don't price yourself outside of the market, because a price is also influenced by supply and demand, as I mentioned earlier when I said the economics of that market, the demand and supply. The more demand, the price goes up. The lesser supply, I mean, the more demand, the more price will actually increase. But also in other instances, depending on how scarce the product is, when there is lesser supply, the price will also increase. So
No, no,
you
it's fine, because sorry to interject.
no problem, go
I
ahead.
I have made an observation that the weakness from our part, it's not to put aside the top up percentage. Like for instance, if you get payments or if you bank money every day, you'll bank whatever that has been raised on that day without necessarily taking the 20% and putting it maybe in your savings or maybe in your money call or somewhere, separate
Yes,
it, so
yes,
that what remains in your daily bank account is that capital that you are supposed to invest back to the business.
yes, because you want to make sure, because if you are not making any profits, which means you are working for other people that you are paying on your operational expenses.
Yeah, you are a charity of some sort.
Yes.
Because if you
So,
are in business as the director or as the owner of the business, you should make money out of that business. But if you're not making money, it means you are now charity. Because I think the weakness was that one, that my observation was that we'll be able to pay like staff, pay rent, pay the operational cost, and then buy meat, even if sometimes the capital would be a challenge, but we'll do that. But there will be no money that goes to the directors. So that's how I realized that we need to separate the expenses, the money that we have used, when it comes back as a revenue, the percentage that we have added, whether 20% or 40%, must always be put aside. Like you have made an easy example to say, if your percentage of top up is 20%, it means that when you get the 100%, you must take the 20% and put it aside, and then invest back the 80% so that it makes another 20% for you.
the next one and the next one. And I
Yeah.
like the idea you have of saying that therefore it has to be done on daily basis.
Yes.
On daily basis, that whatever money we have made, we're going to have to put that 20% aside. And I've said that you might, for a startup business, you might actually think, you know what, my margins are still very low. Maybe I can make it 15%. but you must retain something, because if you don't set that target of retaining something, then the whole world will tell you their price, the whole world will manage. But it also means you're going to need to drive a cost reduction within the organization and really focus on increasing the sale. The reason why I was saying on your industry, you have to focus on increasing the price, on increasing the volume, is because it helps you with the supplier to buy product at a lesser price, because it's a volume-based business. So that will help. And also then, as I said, customer retention. So the walk-ins themselves, figure out how to retain them, figure out how to supply them in bulk and more specials. So if someone is buying, you see this all the time, guys. When you're buying at Spar or you're buying at Fruit and Veggie, when you're buying above 3-4 kg, the price changes when you're buying anything less than a kilo. So it's the same. It's almost like you're gonna need to understand your cost, but also know your profitability at the volume basis. Matab.
Yes, no, I understand that.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. I've covered the pricing, I've covered the costing, but on the retail. So Felix, you are saying you're struggling with your pricing. The principle is exactly the same. Do you know? Thanks, Mataba, I will mute you. Felix, please come through. Hi, Tabi, so we will come to you just now. And hello, George. Lerato, hello. Felix, come through. So you are pricing for private events, right? Weddings.
Mm-hmm.
What are you selling,
Yes.
according to you, Felix? What are you selling?
Okay. Now, the business has got a few contracts, well, not a few, 2 contracts, but that one is on the side. It's basically goes back to what Memata was saying, to say the basic now day-to-day running of it, which would have labor, which will be time orientated. How do you cost even time in your pricing would be another question.
Your own time, no longer the labor, because the labor, it is covered there, is the number of hours that person has worked on that specific project. In your case. So first of all, Alex, you're gonna need to have a project template that manages projects by project to make sure that they are profitable. For each project, you're gonna need to set up budgets.
Okay.
Depending on your policies that you have in place, some will actually share with the client what's the actually budget of the project. And that budget of the project will then be set and saying, we're gonna spend money on this line item and this line item by this time. And that, as you spend the money, you update that schedule as actual, you update that schedule, but you then monitor. But again, you must be clear, when you're doing the work, Felix, how much do you wanna retain? Let me explain it in another way. When you are setting up your project, or you are providing an event, within that event, there's certain tasks that needs to be done, and some are in-house, some are outsourced. You're gonna need to do quotations to know how much it will cost to do that. But you also need to take into account the director's time. And the director's time will be calculated based on your value in the market. So how would you determine the value in the market? There is several studies, or should I say surveys, that get done. Deloitte & Touche does it, 21st Century does it. You can also just check, if you were go to the open market, how much your salary will be. Work it out from that and say, my salary, if I were to take my CV to the market, my salary will be this. what does that mean then in my rate per hour?
Okay.
So take your salary, or if you don't have a salary, go to the market, look at how, if in my industry, you must understand your industry. In my industry, if I were to go and run an event, what will be my rate per hour? If you have not done
Okay.
it, or maybe you have not worked before, take your own budget of how much you're spending per month. Use that as your guide. But make sure that your salary, let's just say maybe you work out that your rate per hour maybe 750 in terms of cost. You have to multiply that at least by 2 or 3%, depending on the industry. In consulting industry, you always have to multiply at least by 3 times. So if your actual cost is 750, you then times that by 2, which means the client, you're gonna charge them 1,500 as the rate per hour.
Okay.
In professional services, we use times 3. So
Okay.
in your service, in your industry, I think it will be times 2. Again, understand the mechanics, understand why is that. It depends on whether, is it a highly skilled environment? Does it have a lot of competition? Does it have a lot of suppliers? Because that talks to the same issue I was raising, of demand and supply, scarcity. And so that is how I will actually work. So what you charge to the client is at least in your case times 2. Why? Because it's supposed to cover for your other operational expenses, and the general operational expenses for this will be around 50 to 60% for your type of business.
50 to 60%.
To 60%, yes, depending how well you have mastered your project management.
Okay.
So your first step, start first by making sure that you have set up a template on how a wedding budget should be set up. So, and you might cut and paste the same template, but maybe and customize it based on the service that you're offering, right? So, and then have a specific cost, but you must know that even your team will use the same template when they are planning the event. Here is the budget, and you review that budget. Again, you must be clear. If the budget is 100 Rand, what do I want to take? Remember this example when I was talking to Usisma, the example where I said, you always have to know how much you are keeping, but then work out what will be my direct and indirect cost. And in your case, is the project. And when the project, this is what I always say, is that if you cannot manage the profitability of the project, there is no way you will then achieve the organization profitability that you have targeted for yourself. So Felix, how much you want to make in this business at the end of the year? How much you want to distribute to yourself? What's the average that you foresee in your industry? And that should then tell you how you should be setting up even your project templates for setting up and managing. So, and you then manage and you start identifying specific risk within product, whether you are doing a wedding or maybe you are doing a private event, maybe a bachelor or whatever that you do. So, but you have already set up, you will actually even over a period of time, build service providers where the price is starting to be stable. The challenge with most entrepreneurs, Felix, today you're buying from this guy, the other day you're buying from that guy, the same product, and as a result, you actually don't establish the relationship. So your price then will not be set because the suppliers are also not set.
Okay.
I hope I was able to help you. do you have any question, Felix? Felix, do you have any question? Okay, I'm not sure whether we've lost Felix. I'm gonna go to Ntsako. Ntsako, I think you are the third person who came. Yeah, Ntsako. Please come through. I think Felix, we got a little bit, we lost him. Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So one of your issues was you had started this business as skincare manufacturing, but it was not stable because you also did not reinvest in it. And
Yes.
as a result, then things just fell apart. And also, then you are unable to continue buying the stock and producing and continuing the business activity.
One of my challenges, and that's why I wrote a long paragraph there.
Yeah.
I stay in a very, well, I stay in Guyana, in the Popo far north. There are, like, just to even go and buy packaging, I have to go to Polokwane, which is 2 hours away, and they don't deliver. And even for the same as my tuck shop business, which was in operation from January, I used to have a full-time job until end of last year. So I was now running the school tuck shop at the school where I used to work last year. So unfortunately, we had only been in operation for one term, and then the lockdown happened. So we're still trying to find our feet. But I know that another challenge is, one, we don't set the pricing. You know, the industry does. Everyone else, if for example a quota is 15 rand, you have to sell that quota for 15 rand. But we didn't have competition. But on the other hand, we are selling to school children, so we can't come up with big prices and still think that children will just bring lunch boxes if they can't afford the tuck shop. So it's that simple. But the problem is, where I stay, buying things like Viennas or Russians or whatever, burger patties, you end up having to buy at ShopRite or Spar. And for you to then make those things, include the sauces, include all the running costs and everything, and the packaging, things that don't factor into the prices. So the profit ends up being much less than you anticipated, especially if you don't factor in those other things that you don't consider, like sauces, for example. We'd have to buy sauces a whole lot, but now I'm not going forward. Find ways of maybe buying those little sachets of tomato sauce, vinegar, and salt, those kind of things. But we don't have a place that sells those things. So I know now that it will just have to be a big, whether it means I have to go to Polokwane or Johannesburg, it will be maybe a once a month kind of expense. But in the long run, it might actually help me, because that's another thing that Charles, if you have to buy things if you have to buy a cool drink from a supermarket to sell it at your own shop, you only get very little profit out of that. And even if you have to increase the price by 1 rand or 2 rand, you get the response immediately. People complain, why are you so expensive compared to the shops? But it's because I'm not buying in bulk.
Yes. Tell me something, Tsako. What were you doing before when you were working full time?
I was a personal assistant to the principal at the school where I'm now running the tuck shop.
Okay. Why did you choose a tuck shop? Why did you choose to run a tuck shop? Why did you choose to run a skincare?
They were retrenching, but then I wasn't and the principal that was, so there was a restructuring and retrenchment process. So they were the whole tuck shop staff, which the tuck shop used to be under the school. So they wanted to outsource. So I was given an option: do I want to stay on and maybe be the new principal's PA, someone that I didn't know then, or would I? Because I knew that I wanted to be in business. I wanted to be independent. So the thought of they wanted to outsource, but I was first preference because I worked there at the school. So I wanted to try something new, grow into business. And just as we're trying to figure out, okay, this is where we're going wrong and this is what we need to improve, then the lockdown happened. And to date, we're only going now for the last term to be, so obviously the business was severely affected. But yeah, so it's those things I didn't have, just as we're about to realize, I mean, we need to put systems in place. We need to do this. We need to actually find suppliers, because very few people will deliver to a very far place if you're the only customer there. You know what I mean?
So my
So
suggestion is that that is good that there was already an opportunity. But however, I really, Nsako, want you sound educated, and for the position that you are holding, being a personal assistant in a school, that is a skill. Maybe sit back and say, if I were given a chance to do it all over, which business will I actually get into? The reason why I was asking these questions is because the market you are entering into is brutal. It's at the low entry end. And you shouldn't enter yourself into markets like that. Don't enter into markets that are brutal because there's too many people who are doing the same thing, or the competition is high. I would really recommend that you really look at, if you were given an opportunity of a lifetime, redesign your best life. It might be far.
Because I never think that
it might feel like
what I was in before.
Yes, it might be far, but design your best life and start living towards that and working towards that. Because this is what happens sometimes with just trying to get a source of income. You end up just doing things because that is what is available to you, and you don't necessarily then strive for really what you deserve.
Yeah.
And you get stuck. And I promise, Ntago, thank God for Corona, because it then stopped you. Then use that opportunity to say, you know what, I want to redesign this. This is what I would like. So even if you then even decide, no, I will do the tuck shop, you do the tuck shop according to your own terms and conditions, not on somebody else's radar. Because one thing entrepreneurship provides is the freedom. One thing that it provides is independence. But it also provides money if you are smart about it and you utilize your own resources and you utilize your skill. So in this case, Tsako, you're not using the skill. You're starting all over again.
Yeah.
So that will be my advice to you, Sisi. And if you are going to continue running the tuck shop, sit down and create a manual on how the tuck shop works and get someone to run it, and you provide supervision. And continue with your life on building the real life that you had planned, that you would like, but after you've taken time to do that, to analyze that.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you very much.
And once you have done the manual, go and do a business plan. That person who's running that, you give them that business plan and say, this is how I want you to run. And you can download and amend. It doesn't have to be 60 pages. It can be maybe 5-10 pages, just allowing the person to see how you're going to measure and monitor them.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next person was Lerato. Hi, Lerato, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourselves?
I know, you were so excited yesterday. You were already joining. I'm like, woo!
I got my dates crossed, and you know what?
I said, I sent the email to Manala and said, no, let's pick up on Lerato.
That's how excited I was. You know, I was in the corporate sector. Yesterday was my last day. So now I'm a freelancer. I'm excited.
You just want to grab as much as possible to just say, get yourself ready. So, Lerato, what were you doing before? And congratulations on joining this space of being broke, my friend. So,
Yeah. I learned from, surviving on UIF. I think I'll definitely do well. And before I was working as a business manager for an engineering company. They are manufacturers of prepaid electricity meters.
oh, wow.
So I decided, I've been with them for 12 years, but I was miserable. I wasn't happy. You know, small businesses usually do not use all your skills. So I felt redundant and I was frustrated to say, is this the way I want to go? And I'm approaching 50. So I was saying, I don't want to start a new life at 50. I want to strike while the iron is hot and fail while I still have support and backup. So that's when I decided, no, I'm just going to try this. And I actually have a few clients that I was working with, but as I was working with them, I felt I was under coating because I felt I did not have the reputation or I wasn't as established as I expected to be. And this is mainly the business. I got the business by mainly word of mouth. So I'm undercharging for my services because I haven't yet established the asking price and also how I can justify the work I spent working on their project and send them a.
Lerato, explain your business to me.
Okay. I'm in the business development. Remember, I have a property business as well, but I've pivoted. I mean, now because the property market is a bit slow, meanwhile it's working. It's a holiday letting property. So another section of my business, which I'm here for, is the business development section of the business, where I basically help businesses grow and increase their revenue and also maximize on their resources. So there's a client that I was working with. This client is in the water boiling, hot water cylinder industry. They've been running a business for a while, but they do not have they do not have marketing material. Their sales, they are working from home. They do not have, their sales is mainly from word of mouth, and they haven't grown. They don't even have a website. They don't even have, in fact, they're working like a spaza shop, yet they've been doing business with big businesses, with the city of Cape Town, with universities. So I felt when they approached me, they needed to see how best they can grow. They felt they were not ready to go the tendering route, and they felt they were also not ready to even engage a developed, I don't want to say a software developer, but somebody who can assist them with their website, with the designs of their brand, and getting business. So that's when they approached me. So I had worked on their product, and when I invoiced, I haven't yet sent the invoice. I kept thinking, am I undercharging? Am I being ambitious? And that's where I was, to say, how do I charge for a service without feeling guilty?
Okay, love. Tell me something. When you were a business manager where you were, how much were you being paid?
You want me to disclose my salary?
People and disclosing. Mine is, Lord help us. They don't know you. I mean, I think
they will find me on social media.
Are you in
I was getting 40,000. Yes, I'm based in Cape Town. I was getting. Yes, I am.
Okay.
I was getting 42,000.
I have people from Zanini. I have people from KZN. So
I'm originally from Limpopo, huh?
Really? So Guyana team, I guess. So was that a take home or gross?
That was my gross.
Okay. So how you work it out, we will then add, remember those 1% COIDA, 1% UIF, right?
Yes.
So maybe let's just say another 3,000 there of those additional expenses roughly. Then now we end up with 43,000, right?
Okay.
And from this 43,000, we will then, because this is professional services, we'll then multiply by 3. And we will get how much? Almost what? 120, right? 129, I think.
131.
131. How did you work 31?
4812, 43 by 4812, 369.
Oh, I don't have accountants here today. Let me just get my calculator. I can't trust entrepreneurs when it comes to calculating.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times when I'm running a training, I ask entrepreneurs to calculate things and I end up having calculations that are wrong. It's definitely 129.
129.
Yes, that's what I worked out earlier, but I didn't trust my head. Okay, so it's 129. That's supposed to be how much you generate in this business if you are working to it full time, right?
Yeah.
So you then ask yourself, which task did I do for them? And you list all these tasks.
Okay.
And in each task, because you are now a consultant, you're going to have a deliverable.
Yeah.
So let me show a practical example of that. And I'm gonna, it doesn't matter. I'm working on this new client. I'm gonna share some of the information, even though, I don't know if I should share this. Let me remove the name. Let me remove the name for confidentiality.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm gonna share. Can you see what I have here? I have risks.
Yes.
In your case, it's not gonna be risk, it's gonna be problems. I'm an auditor, my approach is always risk. So, but in your case, it's gonna be a problem. And then the next item is gonna be task, which is what? The recommended action, basically.
Yes.
And then the next one will be having the output, which is basically the deliverables.
Yes.
So, and then you will then cost it and price it. I think I started doing that with this one. Do you see? I've got plan hours, actual hours, start time, end time, and then any comments that I want to make when I'm reporting back to the client.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. But how do I justify the time that I've spent working on a project?
Not a problem.
How do I justify it?
We're going there. Because you are now a consultant, you're gonna need to keep track of your hours that you are spending on the client.
Okay.
And I know that is a shift of mindset. Just realize, as a consultant, you are selling your skills. If you are selling your skills, then you are selling time. Over a period of time, you will build yourself up to start selling intellectual property. That is trademarked, that is software. It could be anything that you're gonna develop. There are processes as you build that you will build and build up your methodology on it. And when you have done that, then you can start employing people to do that. You are not the one who's doing that. You then supervise. But the principle of what you're doing, Lerato, is really purely selling time and your skill set and how you think. That is what we are selling.
Okay.
Now, when you have worked out the deliverables, you then start monitoring and you set this, you plan it and say, for that task, I'm going to spend so much time and this is the budget time. It's very important to have a budget time because it helps you to understand if you are going over or under, but it also helps you not to go too deep. So my biggest challenge in consulting is that I say to a client, I'm going to deliver the following. I end up doing more than what I've said. So you have to monitor your budget. That is why you have to set. So, and monitor what your actual hours. And those actual hours, you make sure you keep track of them and you are clear, what did I do? So I promise you, if you provide pricing to the customer and you have articulated the project plan like I've just shown you with specific hours set, there is no way they will come back and say, please explain, how come you spend 30 hours here? Because most of the time, the clients do not know what it takes, what processes it takes to get to the result. It's similar to what I was explaining to Sis Matabo, that the process of getting the prize, there's a lot of steps in getting to that. It's not just saying it's plus or minus percentage, but there are steps, there are plus or minus, but you build in through a process, through understanding what needs to be done and how that needs to be done.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. And I was also, I also learned a lot from, as you were answering Felix. So, I have a lot to implement.
Yes. So, and you can start now even saying that my rate per hour, because you see from that 129 that we have calculated, we can now work it out on 21 days. We can just say 129,000, 1 to 3 divided by 21, because you're working on weekdays, not on weekends. Then your rate per day then is about 6,142 per hour. Per day. Which then means when you're putting the time, you can divide this by 6, because we always work on productive time, 6 hours. So your rate per hour basically is about 1,023. And you obviously, that is what you foresee. Try also to sell the result. Don't sell the input. And also, Felix, you can use this. So what I'm showing you is the management. What is the management of the consulting? What's the management of the service? But sell the results. What result am I gonna give you when I'm done with so maybe the result in your case will be, I will have a clear marketing plan and maybe the top 10 targeted customers that have done a research that you can start selling to. So start positioning yourself so that I promise you, when you have sold the value, when you have sold the deliverables, I will make sure. So in mine, like I was showing on that Excel spreadsheet, let's go back to it again. I am not selling the hours. And most of my clients will actually not care about the hours. They will care about what is the deliverable. So let me go in again. Oops. So I'm trying to share again. I'm opening wrong documents. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this one. Oh, it's the wrong one. Shoot. Okay, I need to try another one. There we go. So, can you see the document now?
Yes, I can.
So when I work with a client, I am not selling how much. This is just for me. Is to manage myself on the deliverables. Is to manage other people on what is an output. Do you understand? So I should mainly be focusing what will be the deliverables. And this one is actually wrong. It should not be KPAs. It will be competency framework. Core competency framework. Because this is a new industry. And then maybe the next one is organogram and job titles. So I will then get assigned. I will develop the organogram and then get it signed with roles, right? Job title.
Okay.
I will then
Okay.
do a job profiling. All jobs on the organogram are profiled. I will do the skills audit and then have a skills plan, which will then filter into personal development. I will then make sure a full compliance audit and make sure that there's a full compliance with Department of Labor. I mean, that involves a lot of different activities, registering with COD, registering with UIF and all that, and registering each employee also. It's a whole list of things. So the client, when they start asking about hours, it will be because they don't see a value of this, but they don't see how much will that take.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so, so much.
So try by all means and say, I'm selling the deliverables, the output is this. And this client, and just build a relationship with the client for them to trust you that you are not just about making money out of them, but you are helping them to solve a problem, and to solving that problem is it's a process, it's a system thing. Step 1, step 2, step 3 will be this and this, and how will that work out? And some of these things also, Loretta, keep in mind, they do change. And that is why maybe sometimes as consultant, we have to be very fluid. I think this morning, I was actually drafting a letter to my client, the same client, and I was actually just articulating that the project is 90 days, but I am also here and making a qualification of saying that due to fluidity of the environment, i.e. capacity on the ground, some of these things are going to change. Do you understand? But on weekly basis, we're going to be monitoring progress. Because some of the things are also outside of the consultant control. They are within the business itself. So maybe they change their industry altogether in the middle of the project. Maybe they change they change the industry or change product. All of those things have an influence on your deliverables.
Wow. Sure, thank you so, so much. Thank you so much. You've given me a lot to work on. Thank you.
Good, and good luck to you. I actually will ask Ubonolo to give me your email address. I am looking for someone to assist me to do some business development. But also, if maybe someone has asked you for sales, set up maybe a basic and then say, if I achieve above this, I will then charge a percentage, right?
Okay.
So the base is just you doing the systems and processes of how they should manage the sales. But the above is when they now generate the revenue from your effort of putting the systems and processes. So you can have different business model. Have a look at how business model and revenue models are built, really start building up, and also focus on pricing for value and not pricing for cost, based on cost.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Loretta, and good luck to you. Thank you. May I have George? Hi, George. Are you going to mute yourself? I think next person is Mata. Oh, Mata, we've done. Tabi is the next person. Hi, George. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. George, we changed the way we were going to run this. Initially, we were going to just run through the training and manual, but we had such a lot turn up, and we decided let's rather address each person's problem, but use it as an experience for us to see where to go, when to look for information, but also how to approach, what are the principles. Is that okay with you, George?
Yes, it's very fine.
Perfect. What can you share? What are the areas that you would like me to cover for you, George?
Okay, basically, I opened up my own accounting practice. I'm based here in Stellenbosch.
And I kept on saying accountant, is an accountant here, and George, you kept quiet.
I kept quiet. Yeah, so like the company that I used to work with, it closed down due to COVID-19 because one of the major shareholder, he died. So all the employees were retrenched. So looking at my skills and my expertise, I said, okay, for me, like to go on the job market, to start looking for a job, and then I've got a hidden skill that I've acquired from university. Why can't I come up with something like a small practice? So I opened my own accounting practice. I started from my flat. So over past 3 months, I've acquired at least some good clients, which has made me like even to double 4-5 times the money that I used to get per month.
Wow.
And yes, so a bit of the challenges in terms of the pricing of my service, because it's like I was just using like a percentage, like 1% of the turnover of the client, but I'm not sure if I'm in the right direction. So I wanted like to use this platform because I can see there are other expertise. Maybe they can help me up to how I can be pricing my services. I do provide accounting, independent review, audit, tax. Yeah, those are the majors that I'm currently offering on to the public. So, but my main focus was on pricing, whether I'm overcharging the clients or is it in line with what the industries are charging, or I just wanted like some. And the other business that I'm doing is farming. I just started it 2 months
George,
ago.
wait. George, wait. Let's start with one,
Yes.
and then we'll add the other one. I don't want to get myself confused. Lerato,
Yes.
there's something that please guys note, I am also reading. When sometimes someone is talking, I'm also reading or writing. So,
Oh, yeah.
George, give me a second. I'm going to just go back to Lerato on her comment that she made. Lerato.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
See, you have to do an average of 1 page to 2 pages on your what you're going to provide as a value, but also maybe how can I say, get the client to agree on the bulk amount, then come back to them and say, based on you approving the scope and the deliverables, I will work out the hours, but on the background you've already have planned them. Do you understand what I mean?
Oh,
But get the client to sign off on that. You can't later then send an invoice if you have not told the client how much it is going to be. That has to be agreed. So you present whatever you are presenting to the customer, saying that I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 for you. Tell them how much is it going to be. Only when you are coming back, then you've done some work, or then you send them an invoice.
Sure. Yeah, I think I realized my mistake in this instance. I got too excited when I got a job.
You need a coaching. You need a business coach.
Of course, I see now. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm
picking up that the other stuff came other and the other one came other. No. We have to go back. So you go back to the client and say, I have analyzed the things that needs to be done. This is what I think I can do. This is what I can deliver. Is that going to be appropriate for you? What budget did you set? And the client say yes. Then you follow up with the invoice.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
That is a no-brainer, but I forgot.
George, I'm back to you, my brother. Sorry about that. I was reading the note. Okay, so George.
Yes.
Which professional body are you registered with?
I'm registered with, I've got 2 professional bodies. I'm registered with South African Institute of Professional Accountants, and I'm also a chartered accountant with Association of Certified Accountants UK. It's international.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so George,
yes.
I'm also a CA. I don't use my own rate. I go to SICA. SICA, yes. George, has something which is rate rates. The rates are set by profession in that area. So I will just Google it and I'll give you the link.
All right, that would be great. You can have my email, then you can email me. I'm georgemasea@gmail.com.
Okay,
Yes.
hang on, George. Don't give your email address here. Okay.
Okay.
Professional. And these professional fees are also standardized. They are also called AGSA rates because SIPA and ACA is exactly the same. So benchmark yourself according to that.
All right.
I'm gonna do a copy and then I'm gonna go here because so I'm gonna share with you and then I'll show you how you will use this.
All right.
So guys, each industry, like professionals, they are registered with a professional board. Sometimes the quantity surveyors, in some engineering, civil engineer, the price are already set. You can't just go outside of your way to charge whatever. Which means you can use the pricing to say my starting point, and then obviously the customer can then negotiate. Or you can decide, maybe for SMMEs, this is the effort I will put, and. So these are the rates that you can then use. So my rates are already on professional. So I'm scrolling down and so do you see, depending on the number of years, George, that you have, and based on the qualification, you can see it, right?
Yeah, like myself, besides being a CA, I also have my master's degree, and next year I'm enrolling for PhD. I want to do it at UCT.
Exactly. So use this as a guide for you to say at how much I add this on and how much I add this. I mean, you can see here a CA with LLB and ASP and ISP or any other relevant with more, this is the rate. So you can kind of work out based on the NQF level.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. And the other thing, yes.
Hang on. This is relating to consulting work.
Okay.
This it's consulting work means the time. This is not at the product rate. You're gonna need to work out your consulting fees, which we've done here, but you're gonna need to price your stuff or the things that you are selling, like the IT14, if you're doing tax, your MP201, the 501, you're gonna have to price that as an item on its own.
Okay, that would be great. Thanks very much for that insight. Because it's like I was just doing it without knowing what my fellows, the standard practice. And because sometimes like other clients will say, why are you charging like this? Why? So I said, I had no that kind of the clue. And I think this platform has, and the link that I think you have just sent, it will really help me. It will help me like to beef up my practice.
Yes.
Because it's like now I'm intending like to employ additional 5 guys, because like now I only have 3. So like with the demand.
George, can I advise you on that?
Yes.
Even though you're gonna employ people, please make sure get an interns that are paid for by sitters. That needs
Yeah. Thank you very much for that insight.
And because most of the things they will be doing is at administration level, right? So I think I'm gonna give you the email now for the guys where you're gonna get the ifundi.com. I will type it for you on here. They might give you some interns to do admin, because within business administration, there is also finance. There is also bookkeeping, because most of the things you're gonna do is finance. ifundi.com. And the guy is called Rich. I think is his name.
Hello?
Hello, I'm still here.
Yes, yes.
Here's the website, and I think the guy's name is Reggie. For interns that you're gonna get, if they don't have them in that area, try to look, approach Service Center, approach Facet, which is our professional, our sitter, approach that to give you interns, and see how you build that. Don't start with fully paid, because you might find yourself that you don't have enough clients.
Oh yeah, this is really great. So it's like I can just see, contact Sita. Like, do you have their email address that maybe I can send?
Google Facet interns. The company is already there, ifundi.com, and then get an email garage. I think I can also just open here and send them a notification that you are looking for interns. I mean, they recently sent me, they have NQF in Johannesburg, Cape Town, IT systems. I will copy now Reggie's email.
All right, that would be great.
Wonderful. I hope I have managed to help you there, George, especially with one, the pricing, but also on how you will actually, there's Reggie's email, and you will then build up on your business.
Yeah, because I was kind of like worried when we were getting retrenched to say, how am I going to survive? You know, after working with them for a long time, then I was like, okay, something.
How long were you working them for, George?
I've worked with them for about 7 years.
Wow. That's wonderful. So, Felix is also finding this very informative. That's good, Felix. You can also get yourself some interns. They have a business administrator, Felix.
And I think this platform, it's really helping me personally. I really need to appreciate the cost for organizing this. Yeah, it's really an insight, because some of the things that you have shared with me, I didn't know. You know. It's like one of my professors told me to say, you know what, not everything that you read in class, you need to open up your mind for other people to give you some insights, because the school does not provide everything. So this platform, I can say you should be having more of these in the future.
Don't turn up, George, unless you guys are gonna rave about me, post on the social media and give me raving and invite as many people as you can. People don't show up. Today, I actually almost just canceled, because I felt, you know what, I don't have as much turn up, and we actually have quite a big database, but we still don't have, because sometimes people don't see a value in training. They don't see a value in building themselves. But I guess you guys are different. So yeah, I'm taking you on all for coaching. George, you can always sign up with me for coaching. And
all right, no problem.
And Lerato, yes, all of you. Matabo, yes, all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And George, you may consult.
I was going to say, why are you biased to George when we have spoken before and you never offered to be our mentor? Maybe the voice of George is more melodious.
No, I will tell you why. I think it only came when he says, you know, this platform like this, do it more often. But then I realized we do have a coaching, we are running a coaching session. We run it similar to what we're doing here. And we are building, but we generally also try to offer it in the industry that we understand. Because if you may understand that coaching and mentorship is different. With George, I can do both. I've run an accounting practice. I know the ins and outs of the industry. So I can mentor him and also coach him. Whereas with you, Mataba, I can only just guide you. It's not the industry that I'm in. So that is why it came through. Sorry about that. Like in
No, but Precious, I think if I can interject, you know, I also have an NPO of women in business.
yes.
I established it because I'm also part of Phenomenal Women. It's another group in Bloemfontein, but it's women with men. My observation is that many African people are involved in businesses, but what makes their businesses not to grow is your financial management, your tax issues, and also your accounting issues, because most of them you'll find that now and then they owe taxes because they couldn't keep records properly for them to be able to account. But at the same time, the type of training that you are giving today is very much important to them, because you cannot grow your business when you don't know the basics. Like, you know, George is a fundi, you know, but there are things that he is still learning from you. So that's why I'm saying it's important. Some of us, I have been working, it's a year now that I'm not working. I was in politics, so I decided to venture into business. And I made an observation that many women and African people, they run businesses, especially the SMMEs. They don't know how to run their businesses. So even the issues of accounting, they don't have accountants that they have appointed, you know, all those. So I think this type of training is very much important, because I can't even remember how did I come across it, because every time when I see something, I just grab that opportunity because I want to learn. So I'm also motivating others. That's why I actually mobilize these women into a group, because I saw a quote of someone who was saying, instead of us doing your baby showers, why can't we do business showers, so that when another African person or somebody opens a business and that person lacks maybe something, then we contribute, support that person. You know, I then said, let me mobilize women around my area, because I've made that observation. There are those that I know that has been in business for, like Felix. I know Felix.
Really?
Felix, we come from the same town. They've been in business for long, but they don't grow, you know. It's because they have passion about business, but they also use the opportunities that our country is transforming. Therefore, African people must do it for themselves. But the training part of it, on how to run your business, your project management, all those things, they don't have knowledge about that. And some of them, you'll find that their literacy level, it's not at the level where it's supposed to be for them to understand this thing. So it's also better sometimes to go to their level. Your people like you will be able to go to their level and teach them how to run their businesses, so that their businesses should be growing. Somebody would say, oh, this person was MEC, how can she not know that how to price? I mean, no one knows everything.
I am so honored. Which province you said you're coming from?
I'm Free State. I'm in the Free State. I mean, I stay in Belgium.
I think it's the only one that I have not been. I sit on audit committees in public sector, in different national departments. So I hear you. I understand. I think the mandate, Black people, for us is, as entrepreneurs, is to understand that the financial freedom or the economical freedom that we pursue in our lives will not happen if we don't grow. Our business is tightly aligned. The more you grow as a person, the more the business will grow. So the problem is not the business, the problem is you, if the business is not growing. And George and Zako and Lerat and Matabo, I will be calling you guys, following up on those leads you have given me, and see how we can do those group sessions, Matabo, for those women. Let's find out what literacy level they're at, because we can also even organize some other programs. So WDB is one of the programs I used to work on, and they to provide support to women, mainly women in rural places or women at the lower level of literacy. So let's see how that can work. George, Sagom, thank you so much for sharing, and Lerato. Can I move to someone said, Precious, you just got me, you just unstuck me. You see, that's what I like. Guys, I'm gonna ask Ubonolo to post the WhatsApp group. Make sure you are on the WhatsApp group so that when I am inviting other people also to provide different aspects of different things in business. There is more than 15 functions, guys, in business that we need to be aware of what needs to be done and how to do it. And this platform will actually help with that. I'm gonna go to Ujabulane. I need to go also to, I've got so many people I still need to cover. Felix, I'm gonna unmute you back. And then I'm gonna, George, I will only allow you for one business. You can contact me, join the WhatsApp group, and you can then contact me direct for the other business so that I can cover others because we need to finish also at 12.
100%.
No problem.
Can you get the WhatsApp number?
Yes, my
WhatsApp. Can you just, yes.
Yeah, oh, I've just put my WhatsApp number in the wrong place. Hang on 1 second, I'm going. There's a WhatsApp group. Bonolo, you've shared that privately. You didn't share it to everyone. Please share it with everyone. Join that WhatsApp group. In that WhatsApp group, I have more than 13 coaches and mentors and people that provide services on different things from compliance to business plans to funding. I mean, a whole list. So when you have a question, post there. I regularly also monitor that, but my team is also on there. They will tell me if someone has posed a question.
All right.
I have shared that. I'm gonna share now with everyone my cell number. Please don't kill me when I don't respond to it immediately. Be persistent because I'm involved in quite a lot of other groups. I think I have about more than 16, if not 17 WhatsApp group. We run an NEF training and and in each province, we add a group which we monitor over a period of time. So I think, so we're on the second cycle now, we're adding other provinces at times too. So it's just get really messy. So be patient with me. SMS me when you can't get hold of me. Most of the time my phone is off, so rather SMS me, send a WhatsApp, and also talk to my team. Denise and Bonolo are also on the group, and that's a group that we are managing for all our training and also request. So I think I lost Ujabulane in network. I lost Ujabulane. I also lost, there was another person. So I am actually therefore have finished everyone. Can I go back and ask any other things and question? Can I also request that you also do some sort of a testimonial or what did you learn for us so that we use that? Guys, this program is sponsored by a private trust because they know the work we do, but we always therefore need to have a feedback from you guys. Please make sure you do that feedback. Can I take any follow-up questions?
Mine is just, hi, Precious.
Yes, I'm still here, George.
Yeah, I think mine is just a comment from what Matabo said, that most of the businesses, like in Africa as a whole, like they fail to succeed just because when the business starts, they relax too much. You know, like the only time they consult experts like accountants or risk analysts or auditors is the time when maybe SARS has said, okay, you have got a fine that you're supposed to pay, or you are not in compliance with this area. It's when the time they start like consulting the experts. But if you go to Europe, most of the businesses are successful and they have even franchised the whole African continent is because from the initial stage, they had to comply in all those legal stuff, accounting and stuff like those. So I could also encourage my fellow entrepreneurs from the chat to say, when they're starting businesses, they should just make sure that when they start, they just need to do it right from the word go. then from there, I think our African continent will grow.
Wow.
That's
Thank
my
you so much, George. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think one of my coach is Tihav Heka. I will type his name here.
okay.
Tihav Heka says, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If we
Yes.
can build up some sort of an understanding that, or even not even an understanding, like we need to entrench the part of making sure that when we do whatever that we're doing it 100% all the time. All the time, we're just doing whatever that we're doing, and we're doing it 100%. We teach that to our kids. We teach it to our people around us. We hold those people around us accountable, because even ourselves expect 100% at all time. I think if that thing that you just said, George, if we can then apply that in our own life, if you have set a goal that I want to do this, do it. Because when you don't do it, you let yourself down, you kill your confidence, you then end up not attempting even bigger things. And you start failing also in other areas, because how you are in one area is how you are everywhere else.
And also, and the other thing, Precious, is among us Africans, we believe to ourselves. You get what I'm saying? We our self-confidence. You know, that's why, like, you find that maybe other people, they take advantage of us, because it's like we don't have that kind of self-confidence to say, when you try something, when you see that it's not working, we easily give up to say, okay, let me start something different. This one did not work out. One thing that I've learned in my life is, when you experience a challenge, you should look at it as an opportunity. And whatever you are doing, like I was hearing one of the speakers here is doing a meat business. He was explaining, you know, sometimes you have got highs and lows. Sometimes maybe you cannot have tenders. Sometimes you cannot have customers. You keep your on soldiering on. Don't give up. And if we do that, I think we'll not have problems in the whole African continent.
Thank you so much, George. Are there, guys, is anything that you want to close in by? Is anything that I can go on the summary?
Yes, can I say something, Precious?
Yes, Mataba, go ahead.
Let me start with technology. You know, this technology thing, some of us are new on it. This WhatsApp thing of yours, I've been trying to get into it. And I can't, because it tells me scan and whatever. And I'm used to the WhatsApp where you store the number and then
you
join the
cry.
WhatsApp. So this
Don't
one,
worry. Maybe send your direct number to Bonolo, and Bonolo can add you, my co-host.
Okay, I will do so.
Yes.
But I think I must say, Precious, that I'm really grateful to be part of this training. I believe other participants are also like me, and those that did not log in, they have missed out. But I think it's also, you know, some of the trainers, you sometimes get bored the way they do training, and then you don't get interested to go forward. You think that, hey, I'm wasting time. But I must say that you are a star. You are very easy to. You are user friendly, if I may say that. You are user friendly in terms of training people and interacting with them, and also trying to clarify their issues. So that's why I was saying we will be launching that NPO of ours, of Women in Business, very soon. I think I would send an invitation that you guys become part, to come and motivate, because, you know, our people like to complain more than bringing solutions to the problems or challenges that are confronting them. And our people like to mostly rely on government. Yes, government is a resource that we can use as people of South Africa, especially Africans, because of the opportunities that are there. But as a business person, you need to understand that I have a responsibility of growing my business, even if I can have some people or institutions that can be used as a resource. But at the end of the day, I am responsible. I'm just saying this because, you know, I decided to subscribe to a license of Zoom just to accommodate those women, so that we must have meetings through Zoom during COVID-19. And some of them would just say, I don't have data. And I would say, but as a business person, you must at least make an effort of having data to log in, because that's for your own benefit. Now, this thing of getting free RDPs and free everything, we just want everything free. And in business, you must invest money for you to make money. Whether it's 10 rand, you must invest that 10 rand for you to have 15 rand. So I'm saying, really, I'm motivated, and at least I've got people that I can say, oh, this one and that one. I will be inviting them on our launch when we launch this business women shower. For now, we're calling it a women business shower.
I can't wait. It's gonna be on Zoom. Please, Denise, follow up with my tab, because my schedule gets crazy within 2 weeks. So we're always planning 2 weeks at least ahead. So I'm glad we called you when you are about having time. But I will also maybe contact you just to find out the background, the businesses that are in, so that I can talk to the relevant, what we have found. We are also conducting a research. Bonolo, again, please send a link, a research on businesses that are earning above minimum of 10 million and above. But we're also considering doing people that are in professional services. Still, they run the same research that we're doing. The research is basically about analyzing which areas people are struggling with, because I'm lucky enough, I work with funders. So then we will know on how to help you to assess funds, but how to help you to build a business that will assist you to be able to raise money. Because guys, let me say this, how you make money in business is in 2 ways. 2 ways. And I wish this was the only thing that was taught to me in all the years I was in business school. Number one, you employ someone who is cheaper than what you are charging your customer. Number two, you use other people's money. Just remember that. And if you have any question, please put it through on the chat. Guys, the only way to make money in business is making sure whoever that you are bringing into your business to make you money, that person is cheaper than the price you're gonna charge. Remember the pricing I was doing with you on individual Felix and Lerato's calculations? That's exactly the same principle. You have to be charging more the customer than what you are actually withdrawing, so that you have something left. But you also need to understand that for you to really make serious money, you will add, once you have mastered that part of making sure that the 100 rand that you generated, you are retaining 20%, like we made an example with Smartup. You then gonna make sure that you raise money to actually get other people's money to build your business. And if there's any lesson you have to understand about how to make money in business, and you understand those principles, that's it. That's the end of class. And I want to just also emphasize, I'm going to take out this. It looks quite messy right now, but maybe I'm going to redraw it. Can you all see this? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Perfect. I'm going to just show you something. You know, people generally make finance as though it's difficult. Like they make it so as though, I think one of the things I said to someone who's also a CA, they were analyzing some business, and they went on with all these high-end questions, and they went on with the financial analysis and all that. And I said to him, you know what? Our people are not there yet. I cannot be talking to you and talking about financial ratios when our people do not even understand the basic of what is financial statement and how to read the financial statement. And this relates to what I was saying, that we need to start building up to simplify things. So in your case, I am saying, focus on making sure that the people that you work for and what you are working for is way lesser than what you're gonna charge. What you're gonna charge has to be more. But in number two, once you have mastered that, once you can show profitability, then you can raise money from other people. We go around as entrepreneurs saying, I'm looking for funding, but yet the business that you are running is not even profitable. Already, that's a dustbin business plan. Already, I'm not gonna even bother myself because you have not mastered number one, which is what? Whatever that I am making, and I do not spend all of it. I make sure that I retain, I maintain what? At least 20%, because you are showing to the investor that your business is ready for what? For external investors. It's ready for investment. But for it to be ready for investment, there's other things that you're also gonna make sure you do. And let me show you that on my last 20-something odd minute. And this is gonna go very quick, so stay with me and make notes. So a business has 4 things. In business, we only deal with 4 things. Number 1, we deal with income. Number 2, we deal with expenses. Number 3, we deal with assets. And number 4, we deal with debt. Those are the only things that we actually deal with. No matter whether it's a listed business, is in Johannesburg Stock Exchange, New York, London, I don't care which size, or whether it's a tuck shop, or whether it's a smaller thing in your garage. Any business, anything relation to finance, even in your personal capacity, even in government, we only deal with 4 things in finance. 4. These 4 things, this is what we call sales, it's income. This is what we call asset. The income is what we earn. The expenditure is what we have spent, right? And the debt is what we call, it's the people that we owe money to. And the assets is what we own. Right? Right, entrepreneurs? Are we good? Please give me a feedback on the chat. Yes. Are you with me?
Yes.
I said I was going to move very fast, so bear with me. But stop me when I'm covering things that you are not sure what I'm talking about. Now.
It's fine, we'll do that.
Perfect. Now, what you have earned and what you have spent, you're always going to make sure that there is always something left. So we will say income less expenditure gives us what? Profit, right? We don't want to make a loss at all. We always want to make profit, because if we continue making loss, it reduces something that I'm going to show you here. Asset less debt, right? That gives us net equity or net worth. The accountants like George will call it share capital, equity and all that, but it's all the net worth. If you keep on making losses here, you keep on making loss, you're spending more than what you're earning. Over a period of time, your net worth starts actually what? Decreasing also. Now, this side is what we call income statement. This side is what we call balance sheet. That's it. That is a financial statement. And the way it works is that your asset will generate the revenue. The revenue, which is your sales, is actually, like Mata was saying earlier, that for you to actually make money, you're gonna spend it. So the income was generated or earned by spending the money. And that money that you have spent is financed by a debt that you got from someone. And that debt is also financing what? Your asset. So you better make sure that in your business, the assets that you have are actually generating what? The revenue. Most entrepreneurs, they do not actually even check that up. I mean, recently I was reviewing an engineering company. Majority of the assets is motor vehicle. I think there was an office. And I'm asking him, man, these assets you have, the majority on your asset, on your fixed asset, how much revenue are they generating? They are not generating any revenue. He's using them. And I'm saying to him, if you are renting, how much would it have been? If you are owning, what does that mean? The asset must generate the revenue, because if it's not, it's just a pure expense. So guys, this is what we call financial statement. Of course, people like George, they will complicate things and tell you about a whole lot of current asset, property and plant, and all those things. As an entrepreneur, start understanding this first. There you will then build up a complexity of different type of sales, because within that, or different type of income will be dividends, interest, and then expenses. There's a direct cost and indirect cost, like we're explaining earlier. And here, current asset, property and plant, which is a fixed asset, and debt we have current and a long term. Long term will be bond. But remember, in each of these, there's something which we call matching principle, which means you need to make sure that the money that you make, there is a matching principle between what? Between the money that you have made and the money that you have spent. And again, when you are not analyzing your operational expenses, you will not see this. When you are not doing it, you will not see it, because it must always be there. This is the most fundamental principle of them all, the matching principle, that everything that you are doing, it must always match. The moment it doesn't match, it then reduces this. It reduces your net worth, and here also you're also going to start having a problem, because you are not actually covering your expenditures. Guys, did that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yo, we're taking notes.
I'm glad, but we'll also make the video available to you. So all I want is for you to just say, okay, what does that mean for my business? How can I build assets? How can I build assets? Because it's only assets that generate revenue. I said to you, Lerato, earlier, you are selling time. If you are selling time in a long term, you basically are self-employing yourself. Do you understand what I mean? Guys, yes. You build a business, you start a business to employ other people, not to create an employment for yourself.
Let's say that again. We create employment.
You start a business to create employment for other people. You don't start a business to self-employ yourself, because if that's the case, then you are the worst employee, because then it's 24/7. Guys, when you are running these businesses, they consume us. 24/7, we're thinking about them, we're doing stuff about them. When we are not doing it physically, in our head, we're doing it. So if your business model is not set up to expand and grow, employ other people to do what you do, then you're in trouble, because which means you cannot scale. So yes, people like myself are professionals. We do run into that, but we build it over a period of time. For example, I said to some of you when you started, you must have read the book, because the book allows me not to repeat the same thing over and over. The video that we're doing today, I will not need to go through some of the content next time because we have recorded it. But over and over, so what I'm saying to you is that you figure out a way of how to build up an intellectual property. You figure out a way also of doing things quicker and easier by setting up methodologies and approach. And that then builds you to finish the work quicker, but also deal with things that are most important when you're dealing with clients. So yes, in professional services, it might be difficult, but it's possible to build up the asset base. It's possible to build up the asset base. With us, we even have websites. We even are building up some other digital assets. So those are expected to generate what? Revenue. And from there also then reducing some of the spending so that it increases profitability. But all I'm trying to say to you is that I think if you are not sure, Lerato, it's the first time you're hearing this thing that I'm saying, that you start a business to employ people, not to get yourself self-employed. Look at cash flow, Robert Kiyosaki. This is what he teaches. I will show you some of that here. Give me a few seconds. Let me just show you. Can you guys still see? I think so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Robert Kiyosaki, I think I had, Robert Kiyosaki teaches this. He says, he also like crosses, yeah, like me. I think all my models, when I'm simplifying things, they're always on like a cross. Okay, so Robert Kiyosaki says that there is something which we call passive, active income, and there is a passive income. Okay, passive income, right? And active income is generated when you have to wake up to earn the money. Lerato, as a business consultant, for you to make the money, you have to do what? Wake up.
I have to be present, yeah.
You have to wake up because you are selling time. You are selling time the same way you were selling time before you work for yourself. When you were at that level, you were employed, right? You moved yourself to be self-employed, right? And when you moved yourself to be self-employed, you're gonna get stuck in here. God forbid, the good thing you're on this training. Because if you get stuck here, you will die with absolutely nothing. Your business is not a going concern. The business, because whatever that you are earning is coming in and going, is coming in and going.
Yeah.
Even if you might actually build here. So let's just say you run your business efficiently, right? You build it in such a way that you always are making profit. That profit, remember, is plus or minus between even like about 30% or to even 5%, depending on how you have set up your tech. It's not big enough to actually help you to move yourself to run this in a way that it will help and run itself. The 30% that you're accumulating is too little to buy the assets, right?
Yeah.
So you get stuck in here, you are stuck with maybe 30% of 5 or 6 years. That's the end of that business because you are selling time. And then for you to move yourself from here, from being self-employed, actually when you assess it, being here was much better than being here. This is the worst corner because this is the one that you're fully occupied. Everything depends on you. You get crazy when it's month end because there's bills to be paid. And it gets worse when you have employees. So, but you are stuck here. The only way to move yourself from here to being passive, where the income gets generated even when you are not there, that is when you convert yourself to be a business owner.
Okay.
And being a business owner, how is it different from being self-employed? That is systems. That's the only difference. Business owner builds up systems. The business owner builds systems. They build systems. And you then move yourself to being an investor. And that is how you build your business. Yes, we congratulate you for moving from being employed, someone controlling your 8 hours or your 9 hours, whatever that you're giving to your work area. But you have gone to this, which is, and this is so difficult to get yourself coming out of here to this mindset. It's so hard, especially for professional services. But whereas with other things, you can build up manuals, like I was saying, with the tuck shop and stuff. But for something like professional services, to move yourself from here to here, it takes a lot of time and effort, but it's doable. You can do, you can look at books like Gerber, Michael Gerber as your guideline. I will tell you.
Oh yes, I bought the book. Thank you so much.
You love the book.
I haven't read it yet, but I bought it from the last time I heard you mention it.
Oh, wow. You need to read it. Listen to him also. Google him and see if you can't find any interviews, and try. Guys, always try to do what you have set yourself, do, because you're going to get tested on the same issue and not grow. And I don't know how to make it. It's a way of life. It's what we call it conscious awareness. When you have been enlightened on something, and then you work out that this is my action to do. Please follow through on that action, because if you don't, the outcome or the consequence of not doing it gets bigger and bigger, and also the problem never gets solved. You get tested on it in a different way. I think I'm too deep for you guys. Let me leave you.